Okay, gonna jump into some backtesting right now. We've put it back to August. Unfortunately, I've just seen that. Unfortunately. Okay, we're doing some backtesting. We've just marked out all of our levels. Right now, it looks like, well, this is all-time highs, alright. So right now, if we don't stabilize off of this range here, this is the range that we closed. We haven't retested down until now. If we hold, we can continue that movement up. If not, our next range is going to be down here. Down here. I'd actually much rather look at this. I think I was supposed to mark that, but it moved to there. This range here is going to be the next thing. This is the order block for this range. That's what I'm going to look for to hold if we break this range here. So the game plan right now is to see if this holds. If it holds, we can take longs up. If it doesn't hold, we can take those shorts down to our levels down here. I've marked out this fair value gap here. It's the lowest fair value gap in the whole entire run up. And it's also the lowest fair value gap for this range as well. So that's why that's on the screen. We then have the 4-hour order block inside of the daily order block. This is the midpoint of that. I didn't mark the open or the higher because it kind of it's kind of the same level as this bearish order block low. So the 4-hour looks, this is all expected, to be honest, because there's the daily range is down here. There's no daily range here, so for this to foul is quite likely anyway. Meaning, if I was trading in this time here and we was coming down, I think the likelihood of this holding is quite low because we have the daily range, which is down here. Okay, so just cycle through our time frames, get an idea of what's going on. We've closed the daily. We've closed under yesterday's daily low on the 15-minute, meaning we've closed this. We could run all the way up. We don't need to. What I would like to see is us use this daily bearish order block low to push us down into these levels here to see if we can cycle higher or we're going to go lower. What I'd be looking at right now inside of this range is going to be, can we close this low? If we can't close it, we're going to be going up to the top side to attempt to break it. I wouldn't classify this as a sweep because if it was a sweep, I feel like we would have been going by now. We're not. Going to drop down on a lower time frame to see if we have closed it. We haven't closed it on the 5-minute. We've not closed it on the 5-minute, and then we didn't close the second low on the 5-minute. So right now, not closing highs, not closing lows. We're in like a bit of a choppy range band market. So I wouldn't want to do anything until we can close something. And also, if we do close this, I'm looking at this range here. I'm not going to be looking inside of this range. We close exterior, we go to exterior. We don't close exterior and hold off of interior. It's interior to interior and exterior to exterior. This is a lot of the losing trades you both probably take is going off of an interior range, an exterior range is broken, and you're getting an interior range entry. You're getting stopped out, it's going a bit higher and then it's going down. It's obvious. The moment you break exterior, let's say you want to go for a short, you break exterior, I'm looking for longs up to the exterior target to go down. If interior is going to hold, it's going to be because it's holding the exterior low aggressively and it's moving us down aggressively. So I'd want to see probably a bait range get created, held, and then enter off of it instead of just jumping straight into it. So on the 1-minute, we have closed this first interior low, which kind of gives us a bit of a direction right now. So unfortunately this is the order block. It's pretty ugly. Does hold the midpoint of it, which is expected obviously because we closed the low, activates the order block. This range got tested into. We don't need to go higher. Same with all the ranges here. This is the next range to play. Once it tests, obviously I'm not really looking for a trade in this range because the stop loss is way too high. It's not too high, this makes the trade a lot more likely to work out, but it's just kind of an ugly range. But what I would be anticipating is we closed this. This is the next thing to trade off of. Can we now gain this as a range by closing the low, which leads us down to the cycle of closing this low here, the exterior low. So the whole focus right now is closing this interior low. We could also look as recent as the previous low that brought us up to here for faster confirmation to see if we are going to close, which is going to be this low. This was the last time it went down before it went higher on the 1 minute. It's also a low. That's the one we could, once we see a close under, confirm that this range we are going to close this and potentially close this now. So if we move the candles forward, what can we expect right now? Well, we closed this low here. This order block is activated anyway, so we can push up before going down. We do just go straight down. We close that low I was looking for. So we've closed the low. We can come up to here. I'd go on a 5-minute time frame to see what's being created, what's happening. I'd see this 5-minute order block here. This is the bare minimum it can target into before it switches direction. So we want to see what happens. It goes straight up to our level. We can take a trade off of that. So what we would do is, we already anticipated that this is going to hold. This is the next point. It's been activated because we closed the low for the order block. Our direction currently is down. We've not tested into anything exterior that could potentially flip direction. This is the exterior that we're trying to close. Yeah, we tested into it, but we're currently cycling it to now close it. So this is why this trade here is near enough no risk of taking at all. And what we're doing here is we can either take it to our easiest target, or we just lock up the 1R. Easiest target, I'd go for the midpoint of the order block or the order block open. It's near enough the same here. I would just go for the order block open. It's 1.6. I target 2R, so 2R is going to be here. This is what I would be aiming for. But right now I'm just saying you could go here instead of 1R, because this is the first place it could flip if you're not holding a high aggressively, which we're not. Goes to would have been out of this now. So a whole focus right now on a smaller time sense is to close the low that just brought us up to the holding of this. If we can close this low, then it confirms that this was a success. This range was a success, and we can cycle on to the next one. That's the pattern we're looking for, just closing the lows, holding the order blocks over and over and over again until we get to our target. So we still need it to be closed. We don't know if it closed in a 15-second. Cool, we've now closed it. We're looking to close it in the 15-minute, which is obviously gonna close on the 15-minute, unless it rips up in a couple of minutes here. Get rid of all these levels besides this, and I do want to go back a couple of candles real quick. Actually, there's no point, because we're about to close that 15-minute anyway. So We close this one and this one at the same time. So I would actually mark this here because we could hold this aggressively because it is a live at closed. It's the more interior range opposed to the exterior. Doesn't mean we can't just hold here in this inside of this range. So I'd mark these out now. We've hit that first exterior target, which is the 4-hour order block as well. So we want to see if this is going to flip us and bring us all the way up. All the way up and continue price up now, or we're not going to hold it and we're going to continue down to these levels. So right now what I'd be looking for is potentially longing up to these levels, either this level, this level, this level, order block, exterior order block up here. These are the places it can flip, meaning we can long because we've hit the exterior target. Exterior should hold us, even if it's only momentarily, to then continue in its direction. So I'm looking for right now is hitting one of these levels. Preferably I'd like to go for the slower pace move. The slower pace move, we can now retest this level because we closed the low for it. This is the lowest point inside that 15-minute range, which is from here to here. The highest point, sorry, which is the order block. Yeah, it's been tested, but this order block's the same for this low, this low, this low, this low, right? Because it's the highest thing inside of all these lows. So we're looking to see if things are holding and we're reacting off of them. We want a range to be created to show if we're holding this aggressively. The range only just got created there. We can expect though, if we sweep one side, we'll break the other. So we can already kind of key ourselves in to this price action trying to go down to this level, to close this, to activate this as the range. So unfortunately we didn't get to close it. If we did get to close it, could have taken a trade up here. Didn't close, meaning this is not holding aggressively, meaning we get a first screen. We're now looking to the next level, the more exterior 15-minute low. Wanted to see if that's going to hold. So if this is going to hold, this range shouldn't hold at all. Then that would tell us that we are going to close this and we can continue down from here. Because logically, this is the next point to hold, right? We closed the higher order blocks here. This should hold if we're going to continue up. If we fit an exterior target and we're going to flip now, then we shouldn't hold this range at all. So taking a long here would be a really bad idea. Can still work out if it's not holding aggressively, but if it is, it's going to get you out straight away. In this scenario, if you did take it, you still wouldn't have been stopped out, but you can already see it's not likely to hold. We're cycling new interior lows. We've closed them. We've used the order block. We've held off the order block. The next target would be to close this interior low. We can even see there's a more interior low here that just got closed, meaning this range is already activated. Because I know it's a bit complicated, but we have two lows for the same order block, meaning the interior one's closed, meaning it can hold once, and then when the exterior closes it can hold again. And that goes for all the levels inside of it. You have to realize this is the highest fair value gap as well. So if this was going to hold, then you could have already taken it. It didn't hold. It didn't hold, so we move on. We move on. And what we was waiting for was the bait range to close. The bait range didn't close. We're not getting trades inside of these ranges. We're just looking to see what's happening. Looking to see if we can take a trade inside these ranges. Still waiting. Now we've closed the bait range. Bait range has been closed. So we can now move up, trade into here, go into a higher time frame now. the low that we need to close on the 5 minute is going to be here. So we kind of want to stay low here to close this, to break the 5 minute before we move up, because right now if we leave it as it is, it looks like a sweep and we can close the other side. We've closed it, nice. So now we've got our directions been confirmed. This is a 15-minute low. We haven't closed it. Haven't closed it yet. So looks like we still need to close out. Yeah, we've hit a daily level. But are we holding the daily level? Is there a reason to think we're holding it? What I'd look for is price action to come up first, obviously. When we hit a higher time frame, most likely we'll hold and flip us, but most likely it will just flip us to whatever we just closed to continue in that direction. So that's what I'm looking for right now, is we close that 5 minute. I mean, the highest point inside that range is going to be this order block. If we go on the 5 minute time frame real quick, we can see that the order block's here. Midpoint of that is going to be here. This is the level I'd look at. We failed to hold the open. It's quite expected when you can go so far inside of a range. Okay, so we can already tell we tested into something, right? We tested into something. We don't need to find what we tested into. We just need to know this range is holding. How do we know if that range is holding? We'd need to close the low that brought us up to it. Where is the low? We've closed the low. The lowest low, or the highest low, is here. We closed that. Meaning we can now anticipate where you can continue in that direction. Continue that direction if we can hold off of that bait range. It did not hold. So what do? We don't, I mean, obviously we don't take a short, because we was waiting to see if it was going to hold. It didn't hold, because we should have closed this. It should have came up. Should have tried to hold. It tried. It didn't succeed. So this daily level holding has just been confirmed right now, because we closed here. You have to realize though, we closed this 15 minute. We didn't retest up, so that could be what's going on right now. So we're looking at this never got tested. This did. So the two aggressive moves are now gone. We either move up slowly off of this, or move down slowly off of this, or move down slowly off of this. If we're going to continue down, and then all the levels inside of that, meaning it can go as deep as here. And if that's other higher move, wherever it is, which is here, it can go obviously as deep as that high, which is here. So I want to see what's happening. Are we holding this level? Can we take a short off of it? So sorry, wrong one. It's gonna be here on the 5 minute. It's gonna be here. Just taking a look to see all the possibilities where it can hold, and we're just looking to see if it's holding. Okay, it's trying to hold. Still continuing, still continuing. Okay, so we close something here. Close the low, it brought us up to this level. So every time that happens, we're waiting to see if it's going to hold, because that's the bait range. This is why we don't take any of the first trades once we hit a level. Once the low closes, this one didn't, so there's nothing to look at here anyway. Once it closes, we're waiting for the low that brought us up to the close to then hold, confirm it's holding, and take the next range. Because that's going to eliminate a lot of the losses we take. You see it? If we're just going to get straight off of it, taking a loss. We need to wait for it to confirm it's holding and not going higher before we do anything. you can kind of already, I know this is very choppy price action, but you can already kind of say that, like, if you're not holding this at all, we need to get to here, right? So we can take longs at next level. Same thing again. Could try and take a long up to this next level. Doesn't get there. So we're going to higher time frame. We are looking at. It is now holding. Right? Did we go to the midpoint? We didn't. We just missed that. So we are holding this. We're still holding this range, right? We're still holding it inside of the range. We're just looking for a reason to think we're going to go lower, which on me would be we're starting to close these interior lows. What's obviously going to confirm that a lot more is going to be closing this low. It's a low that brought us in. Actually, was it already here? This brought us into that. We did already close that. Okay, it's already closed. Went a bit deeper. This retested it. So I would still be looking at this to close anyway on the 15-minute. This is the only low in the range. Actually, the low's here. This tested us up. But we can start looking at these interior ranges to see if we're holding. We clearly are. So we've now got to where we need to close on a higher time frame. Once this closes, and then we can start looking for a movement up to then into a level to then continue down to break below what just closed the exterior to then close the new exterior. So we look inside. The low got closed. We can look inside now and all the possible places. The lowest fair value gaps here. Highest fair value gaps here. And then on a 15-minute time frame, just need to test into it here, so we can just move this from here to here. We'll look at the 15-minute one instead. So we can still assume this is going to go higher, meaning we can take longs because we've not tested into anything. So what could you have done here is you could have waited for this range to close. We failed to move down aggressively. The random range here doesn't mean anything. We're not into anything important yet. This is nothing. Closed it. Once we move down, we test into this finally. Here we can take what tested into it. It's already shown us it's trying to move up. We don't need to wait for a bait range here because we already failed to hold aggressively. Now we're gonna come up with these moves here. Could have tried to take that up to that next level, which is there, and now we're gonna see if we're holding. If we are now holding, right? So already are closed, tested up into the highest fair value gap here. Next range just closed. So then we're taking that next range down. Right, so the bait range was going to be here. Closed this candle. Tested up into that highest fair value gap. No reason to go higher if that's holding. What's confirming the holding of that is going to be closing that next low that brought us up into that. Technically this brought us up, but this is the low of this range, so I'd rather look at this one. That closed. Once we move up into it, we take that here. So we've ever stop loss above here, right? Because the previous high was here. This is lower than the new high for this range, so we have to have it up here. I would have it probably around here myself, just a bit higher, but just a bit lower, sorry. And then we're just targeting that exterior, which is going to be here on a long term. This is kind of a long-term trade, to be honest. Well, for me at least, because my trades don't last too long. Recently, though, they last a lot longer because I have bigger stop losses. Long term, we're trying to get there. Where would I get a re-entry if I took profit? Well, it's right in front of you. This is the most obvious trade ever. It's going to be, okay, this range already held. Why is it going to hold again? It's not. We wait for this to close. Once it closes, tests up, and then we can take our next thing, which is going to be here. And then we just take that down to our exterior target. Okay, so now we've hit our exterior target. We're looking to see if we need to close on a higher time frame. We do. Okay. Closing the higher time frame. Two outcomes really. We either hold off of this range and go up to this range here and use this to break this, or we don't hold anything and it just goes straight down. It's kind of the two scenarios you have here. Test into here now. We don't need to look at these at all anymore. These are kind of gone. Same with this. Tested into this. So this range has kind of already been tested into. If we break here, then we can retest back up into this range. So yeah, so right now we're just looking to break this on a higher time frame. So what you could do is you need to still break here on the 15-minute, right? Well, trading up into the range above is going to be your best bet to try and take a trade back down. In this scenario, it doesn't get there, it just misses it. But what would be so wrong with entering something like this and just having your stop loss to compensate for that? Because it hasn't tested into it yet, so you can still get a trade. I don't think there's anything wrong with this, and also I think having your stop loss this big as well is completely fine compared to this, because they both compensate for all the levels in here. Okay. Moving along, closed it now on the 15-minute, so now we kind of want to see what happens before we try and look for anything to take. So, closed. This is the 15-minute level. What would be a sign of holding this level would have been closing this first interior high, not actually using this range as something to continue down, which it has done. Now if this is holding to go lower, this needs a close. We then need to retest into it to get that trade. If not, just straight down like it has done so. We want to look at any other levels it can hold off of inside of that same range. So it's going to be this 5-minute order block, the midpoint. I won't mark at the 1 minute because obviously this already looks like it's failing, so to be honest, our target should be this low, because if we're failing to hold the order block, it's going to target the low. And I mean, yeah, the order block isn't too far away from that. Okay, so we've not tested into anything really here. So trading up here, if this was to hold these highs, which it didn't, it just missed. Actually this is the highest fair value gap. So what I was going to say is, if it did test into that, I would consider taking a trade here, because we're failing to hold this order block. We've got back below it. We've not tested into anything else, which would be the midpoint. There's no real reason to flip all the way higher right now, because we've already fouled that 5-minute order block here. So we could have taken a trade down to this low, try to get to that low. Same stop loss as well, so you obviously wouldn't have been stopped out here regardless if you did try and go for something like this, because you know your stop loss is at that previous high. Let's say we didn't get this. Once we gapped here, we're still taking the same trade because nothing happened. There was no reason to say this isn't going to go lower. We just went sideways for a bit, broke up into the range it should hold off anyway, because we didn't test into anything other than the fair value gap. We still hold off the order block, we still hold off the low, it just tests into it. And now if we wasn't in that first trade, then we just take this. This trade is going to be 10 times better, smaller stop loss, meaning barely has to go anywhere. At 1R, it just has to retest down a bit. We know where we should be able to target is going to be this low for 2.5, with the real target, if we're going to flip somewhere and break these ranges again, is going to be here. So that trade's over, and then we're getting this trade as well. Why are we getting that trade? Because first of all, we closed that first, the most recent low, which is the low for this. We already have the bias of moving down. We've still not tested into anything important. Not breaking this low doesn't mean too much to me at all, because we closed this low, plus we didn't test into any exterior moves. This is just the next move. So what we do here is we have the midpoint. We end at the midpoint. We have our stop loss above that previous high, and then we can just target either the order block or the low, or the real target. Because like I keep saying, you don't have to always target one arm. If you've not tested into anything, it's most likely always going to go deeper. So we could target 1.2 here. 1.2. And then it's going to be the same thing again. If we didn't test into this, which we have done now. If we didn't, I would take this range if this closed. Now we've tested into this, I'd be skeptical because we might be holding this level. Meaning this is an exterior level. Why is interior going to hold? It still can, but we want to see it hold before we take a trade. A continuation trade down. So it's closed here. And we've just continued straight down. All the way to the low. And we would still need to close this in a 15 minutes, so we can use this range here to try and close it. Which we do. Because we still need to close it on a higher time frame. Why are we going to go any higher from this range? We're not. So what we could have done here is something like so. It's quite a big stop loss. You have to be all the way up here. Like I said, if you compensate for all those levels, you can always move it a couple of ticks down to make it a worth it trade. And just target at 1 arm, which is going to be here. So if the thing is, if we skip this gap, our target is near enough all the way down here. We still need to target and close this on higher time frames as well. So we shouldn't really come any higher than possibly this 4-hour level. Next target's all the way down, so we could expect that. And if we knew that as well, we could kind of just say, we know our next target's so far away. We either can target at 1 arm. We can either target at 1 arm, or we can just see if it goes to the next target, which is all the way down here for 67, which is about a 3-hour move. So now if this is the next target we hold, we need to see if we can close something to continue higher. Well, this higher brought us into this level, so this is kind of what we want to see at the bare minimum before we even make our assumption that this is going higher. As you can see, it doesn't. So what can we do? Well, we'll just take a short, to be honest. Take a short to try and go further down, because it doesn't look like this is holding at all. So what you could have done is, if this closed, a 15-second clearly closed here, could have taken this first one right here, the first trade. If you're not comfortable with seeing this as a 15-second closure, don't take a trade like this. But I know on the 15-second this closed, we have a stop loss above the previous high, and then we just target at 1 arm, which is near enough this low. So I target 1.05 here. That would have been the first trade. Next trade again. Next trade again is probably close this. on the 15 seconds. So if this is closed on the 15 second, then that makes our next trade. That makes our next trade off of this level. So what we could have done, to be honest, is either see this as seeing this as failure because we closed here, or we're just saying we're just taking this with our target here, right? Because we closed this on the 15 second, but we close this on the 1 minute up. If we don't want to take this trade, this is fine. Maybe I wouldn't even take this trade, but this is something. If I was so convinced on direction and this did actually close in the 15 second, then I would take this. If it was kind of like a 50-50 or not too completely sure on the direction, then I wouldn't have taken that. Regardless, you have your next trade set up. Once you close this low here, we want to go into a higher time frame to see if we still need to close something on the 5 minute or the 15 minute. The midpoint of the fair value gap's here as well, so we do want to remain below here. If we remain below here, that means we can close this 5 minute low. We want to see if we're holding this level. If we're holding this level, and then we can close that low as well. We're closing below it. Closing below it here. Want to see it close. Once it closes, if it was to come back higher after closing, let's say it didn't get down here and this candle closed, came up, and then we can use this range here, not this range. I want to be so clear of that. This range can still hold, but this is exterior, this is interior. Why are we taking trades of interior? Why are we taking interior setups when exterior is closed? It's not going to work. It can still work, and that's probably why you do it all the time. Because you see a range close and you think, oh, that was the previous range, let's take that. Exterior close, we target exterior until interior is holding, we can take that. If we're taking interior, we need to compensate for that. For example, if it came all the way up to here, and we wanted to take this, well, at least do something like so. Have your stop loss here. Have your stop loss here, because if it does come to that, the furthest exterior target, at least you compensate for that. And you can take your 1R. Take your 1R down to here. Taking these interior setups off of exterior direction, it's just not really going to work. Like I said, it still can work, but you have to, there are certain steps you need to look for that to work. Continue down. Clearly failing this level as well, so this level is clearly not going to be the thing that holds, meaning we might be gapping this whole range and getting to the next range. This range should try and hold. If we skip a range, it should come to the next range to try it out. So right now, what can we say? We're going to 15 minute real quick. Go back a couple of candles. No 15 minute range. We don't have to wait for anything to close in the 15 minute. So we either come back up to this range, still, this is still fine if it comes up to the range, or we just hold aggressively off the low, the fair value gap, and continue down. We want to see this low go. If this low goes, and we trade up, and we get we got something that actually held, we could have taken something off of it. Remember, we're looking for a bait range. No bait range held. The bait range was here. The bait range got activated. Try to hold, failed. So we're not taking anything. So what does that mean? If we're not holding aggressively, we're going to come up to this point. Let's let it come up to this point. It's come up to this point now. It's going to be the 5 minute low of the range and the highest fair value gap. So we can start trading off of this range. What could we have done so far? We've seen a close here, which is the same close as here. This is actually closed now. So once this closes, yeah, we can test straight back up to this order block, take this order block. We're going to have a slower pace move if we don't hold aggressively. So the slower pace move is this. We get that move, we take that down to the target, which is just going to be the low. Stop loss is pretty big in this scenario as well. You either have the actually no, it's not, because the previous high is here, so that's completely fine. Previous high is here, and you're taking that for your 1R, which is right there. I'd personally just take it to the low, or maybe even the daily fair value gap low, whatever you want. But once we close that, we've not tested into anything down here. Even if this is going to start cycling higher, we've not tested into this. This is the bottom of the range. Meaning what? We can take that trade there, this trade here, down to this lowest point of the range. Once you get there, it's gonna, if it will change direction, it's gonna flip higher, which it's trying to do right now. So once again, going into our higher time frames, seeing if this is still fine, or are we flipping direction higher again? Still, we have a 15-minute range now. So this is the decider range to see if we're going higher or lower. What we either do is we don't take any trade until we break out of either side, or we look for interior confirmation to show where exterior is going to go. For example, if we have some interior ranges here holding, cycling up, well, we know where interior is going to take us. It's taking us to the high. And if we close that high, our direction's up. If we don't close that high and we sweep it, well, then our direction is probably down. So that's what we're looking for. We have our two targets right now. Target, top target, bottom target. To rather use the more exterior low here. These are our two targets. We have this 5-minute range that just got created. We closed it, realized the low of this interior 5-minute range, the low's here, which is the bottom of the order block. That's been closed. So that means the levels inside of this has been activated. So this coming up right now is completely fine. So what we can look for is this holding? And we make assumptions. If it's holding, we can continue down. So with that interior range held, if that interior range is held, exterior direction seems to be lower. So that means that was our top target, and we're probably going to get to our bottom target, especially if we close this interior low. Close this interior low, we could get one more move up and then go down. So all these ranges here are just white noise, especially all these ranges, these random ranges. The only thing you should really be looking at is the bottom range, the top range. If you're trying to move up aggressively or move down aggressively, you can look at that most previous range. If we're not doing that, we're only looking at the bottom range. None of these in between ranges. This range isn't really going to do anything at all because it's just a random range. It's a 1-minute range. We failed the high, so this range isn't going to do anything. This order block, if we failed the high, why is this going to hold? Can try and hold, which it's doing right now. If it does hold and we didn't close that, well, we can clearly tell we're going here and we're not going here. Because if we're holding the range that we didn't gain, it just shows so much more strength. And we're not holding it. It failed to hold it. You can get into this. You're clearly failing. Once you gain that order block again, coming all the way down to here, this order block for this range, why can't you take this down to your target? Or just 1R, sorry. Because you're failing to move higher. You're failing this high, so many times. This is a random range, like I said. You're not moving higher. You're moving down. So that's been closed. Our target is to close this. It has closed now. So This is a 15-minute low. What can we use? We can use that range above, because we don't want to go all the way higher. If we go all the way higher, we're probably not going to close this. Because if we don't close this, we've seen it now, I've accidentally spoiled that for us, but if we didn't close this and we swept it, this could be a sweep to break here. We've closed it, so direction is clearly down to here. Down to the next exterior target. Can have one more push up. We closed it so we can push up. We don't have to go straight to target, do we? So we closed this. We're not looking at this range. Remember, this is interior, exterior, exterior, interior. Why is this range? Why are we trying to take shorts off of this interior range? We close an exterior target. We're going to hold exterior levels. Closed. So what are we looking for? We're looking for the order block and the fair value gap of that range, which is here. Once we get here, then we can try and take some trades. Not in this interior range. We are here now. Once we get something that closes, didn't close, didn't close, didn't close, didn't close, this isn't holding. So this isn't holding. We're looking at the higher levels. Highest level inside this 15-minute is here. Now we've got something that's closed. Once we get something that closes and it confirms it's holding, which this didn't. Did it confirm it's holding? No, because we closed the first interior low. This had to hold. If this was gonna hold, we have to close this. If this closed, and then we can get a trade, because the bait range is the thing that needs to hold. So bait range is what tested into the level. Bait range is gained once we close the bait range's low. Once the bait range's low closes, that bait range needs to hold to close the low that just brought us up to the testing of the bait range. So we would need to have closed this. This didn't close, so we can't react off of anything. We can only expect higher right now, and go as high as here. Also, something I've missed, the midpoint as well. So I want to go into a higher time frame. So just go back a couple of candles. Okay. Does it look like we're holding this level? No, it doesn't. This is also not the level anyway. It's going to be inside of here. So I kind of got that wrong anyway. That's my bad. Okay. If this isn't holding, we need to close the high. So the high is here anyway. If we close this high, I'm sure it will still hold and go higher. If we sweep it, which I'd be hoping for, if we sweep in, we can break down here. That's the final line of defense is going to be that high to see it as a sweep. We haven't tested it, which is nice. So we didn't even test it. We tested that first one, which was here. So we close this range here. We move higher. We can get a trade down. If this wasn't news, we could have taken something here. This range already got traded into here, right? We then came down, closed the range, and failed to move above this high. Clearly trying to short down. This range has been used. This range failed. So our next range down is going to be here, which is actually our first target. It's going to be down here at the very most, because we're targeting that low to go lower, right? So these are our targets. This is why you get these gaps that just dip all the way down, because there's nothing to hold here. There's nothing here. You have the lowest range, the ranges that have been tested into that try to bring us higher, failed. So these have been used. We gap down. Go into a higher time frame just to see where our levels are. So Our level is here. Unfortunately, we see what happens. But this is why it's our first target, this 5 minute. Because we can hold that order block, and that can bring us straight up. I want to go back a couple of candles real quick, again. And I'll keep going back. Don't want to spoil anything. Then we go into the 15 minute. Okay. Swept. Swept here. Get rid of this stuff. 5 minute. We did close this high. We didn't test back down. So we can hold this and still break higher. This is still a possibility. So this is why this can move us higher. Moves us higher. Now we've broke up on only the 1 minute and the 5 minutes. Sorry, okay, so we broke up. Now this order block here, it's going to get rid of it because it's the order block, the fair value gap line. Can be the next point to bring us up to close this high on the 15 minute. We need to remain above that if we're going to go higher. If we don't, it's going to bring us all the way down. This is still fine. This would still be fine. If you saw this as closing, coming down here to go higher, we would have taken this trade. We would have taken this trade with our stop loss here. We're taking up for 1R, which is only here, even if it fails, like it has done, but we've already taken profit and we're out of the trade anyway. We can take this because this is the lowest point of the range before it fails. So it's never too late to take a trade if you're all the way at the bottom level. It's actually the better place to take a trade. It's always going to be the bottom level. But anyway, we failed to break above us again on the 15 minute. After coming all the way up, what do you think is going to be the outcome? Down. What could you have used here? Going to go back. Going to go in a higher time frame. We closed. Closed here. Where is the highest fair value up? There isn't one. It'd kind of just be these 2 wicks here. So, like so. 15 minute. I'm sure it's probably the order block. Yeah, so the order block's here. So, what can we look at? We can look at this. Because we do have a range here. This whole 15 minute candle is a range. We have high and a low in the same candle. Wait, this level here. So we're looking at this level. Can trade up into it. I'm pretty sure it doesn't anyway. But I would have been looking to see if we can trade up into that to continue down. So I would have just missed that move down. It's completely fine. Nothing holding at all there. We don't have any more levels, unfortunately. What's the chart at? It's at 255. So what we can quickly do, just cut it back a whole day. Go here so we don't see what happens. And get another level that we can work with. So I'm going to use the midpoint and the low. These are my levels. Okay, now go back onto the 15 minute. Let me go all the way to 230. Go onto the 4 hour, just skip a candle. 2 candles, 3 candles. Okay. Right. Oh, we skipped a couple of days there. But we only skipped 1 day. Okay, we're here now. You get all the way down to this. Cool, we're here now. Right. Gonna get rid of some of the levels up here. Right, are we holding these levels or are we not? Closed. Close this low. We didn't close this low actually. We don't have to close on the 15-second. I'm sure we did because we hovered around there for two minutes. What we could have done is really tested into this. A bait range was already held. High and a low. This is the bait range, meaning this is confirming the bait range is holding. So once this closes, we could have taken this. Because the bait range is this small range here, high or low. So we could have taken that to our next target, which is going to be this daily level, the daily low. Or just take it down. For your 1R, could have also got my 2R here. Shallowly missed that and continued higher. Now we can start saying that we might have certified the move down. We're going to see if we're going to start cycling up now to this point and higher, or are we just going to come up to the order block open, reject it, and go all the way down again to the low this time. Going to a higher time frame. I'm sure the 15-minute range is so high. So we've got a long way to go before this even attempts to flip back down again. Here, and the order block is here. And then the midpoint of it is here. So the highest fair value gap though is here. We have to understand that the highest fair value gap is here. This could hold. I'm not actually going to have this on my screen now because it's so ugly. Just going to look at those higher levels because clearly we're not holding that anyway. So we could have taken longs up to this. Then go into a lower time frame real quick. No 5-minute range. So longs are not looking too good at all. And we could have taken this trade here. This was the next trade to take. All these trades have been satisfied. The next trade was here. I'm not looking at this daily level and going, oh, we tested it, that means we're holding it. I'm not going to get into anything. You have to understand that higher time frame levels and actual logic are two different things. Holding a higher time frame level isn't really much of a concern at all. Testing a higher time frame level, it's just not. Go off of actual setups and actual highs and lows, opposed to a random line that was created freaking months ago. So that was the next thing. What's here? We take that. We've not got to a target yet. This daily level isn't much of a target once we've already fouled it. We fouled it already. Isn't much of a target. The actual target is going to be the setup down here. So we're targeting here, and wherever the 5-minute is going to be what we target. So we could have taken that. Anything else we could have taken? I would now be waiting for this to close to take something. But if one of these closed, we could have taken that to try and get down to here, because we've not got down to there yet. In this moment, we've got down to it now, but in this moment we haven't. So we can still take something if we had an interior closure. This might have closed on the 15-second, we don't know. Maybe we could have taken something had our stop loss up here. But we've not tested this yet, so we can still take a trade down to that, even if this fouls. I'm sure we would be break even, because once we test the target, we'll break even. Or we just take profit here. We did close. We did close. This range is completely fouled. It didn't try and hold anyway, so we wouldn't have been able to get a trade. Moves higher. Go on to this real quick. No 5-minute range. Only 1-minute range. There's not really too much you can say here. You don't really know what direction it's going. Even I don't, until we close one of these directions. Either this high or this low. Once we close that, okay. Once we close that, we can potentially go lower into this, create a higher low from this one to maybe like around here, continue higher, but we know our next targets are up here. So we dip down now. We dip down, go into a higher time frame real quick. I would have actually been anticipating. Oh, sorry. Actually, we held aggressively. I would not be anticipating that. What? Actually, no. I still would have been anticipating that. We closed this high, so maybe this held. The thing is, I'm not taking this over this. This is exterior. This is interior. We close this. We go up to here. But I would have still kind of expected a flip up here, which we didn't do. I forgot this was a aggressive level here. So once we close what brought us up into it, which is here, we start activating those shorts. So this would have been the perfect short to take, because it is here, right? We closed, the bait range held here, held, collected this range after closing here, the order blocks here, the highest fair value gaps here. We just missed that. So remember what I said, if you just missed that and you still want to take the trade, don't not take it. Just have it at the where it would be if it did test in, and then just take it down. I would have been anticipating this holding at least, flipping back up before down, but it didn't. To the lowest point, we want to see if the lowest point is going to try and flip us higher. Remember that this isn't a 5-minute range down here. The only thing we have is the lowest inversion fair value gap, which is actually here. The fair value gap and the order block. Not really holding that at all. So we could have taken a short. Not holding it, closed, closed. Next short's here. Take the midpoint of this candle. This previous high is lower than this high, so we put our stop loss above this high. We would have taken it down to this low, which then when we get into this fair value gap, we want to see if that holds. It's not holding because we closed the low, and if we close that low we can take a short down, which it does do so. Now we finally got to that daily level. Okay, this is a daily low, so this can be a range spike, meaning this is an actual good level to look at, this daily level. It's a low that was created ages ago. So if this spikes, we know our target is all the way up to the range above, which it looks like it's spiking. I'm sure we'll just have to run all the way up. We can take trades down here because it needs to come back down. Doesn't need to, but most likely will. Moves into the lowest fair value gap. Go back a couple of candles here. Lowest fair value gaps here. Creates a bait range. Could have got in here. Closes, test down, take this. Reason why I would be taking the bait range is because my direction's up, not down. Tapped. Okay, we're clearly going higher. We've retraced down now. Trying to hold this because we closed this. I'm just going to take it. And I would have taken it up to the high. Close the high now, so we can get another trade. I would have just taken this. Where would I break even? Okay, so over here, break even once we get to order block here. I would have been targeting 2R. We got break even here, unfortunately. Would I take another trade if there is one? Yes, I would. Range spike here. So we swept this side. We can break the top side. Want this to go. This can go. It has gone. If we trade down like it did so, I'm taking this straight up. So here. Stop loss down here. We closed that. This black candle closed, tested down into the order block. We're taking that higher. So, I will end this first video here just because it's pretty long now. Hope this helped on direction. I'm going to do a video on interior and exterior ranges, why taking interior trades off of exterior breaks is the worst idea ever, even if it does work out. And yeah, hope this video helped.